What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Currently, Brittany and I are walking. We are on our way to Manhattan.
Whoa!
It's the place that everybody thinks of when they think of New York.
New York, New York.
Every time you hear the words New York, you think of Manhattan. And we realize there are so many people on our channel who are actually Mexican. And so we were asked by a few different people to take in some sights and some sounds from New York City while we're here. So that's what we're doing. We're just showing you what that looks like. As I mentioned in the past, I've grown up in New York City. Brittany's grown up mostly in upstate New York, which is much different than this. But in either case, it is New York, and so I just want to show you around a little bit. What are some of the things that you miss about New York when you're in Mexico?
Some things I missed about being in New York City is the fact that you can walk places and things are nearby. Now, it's not the case in all of Mexico. Some places like Mexico City, that is the case, where you just walk around and you can get like food, or you can go shopping and you can just walk to the store. I like that. Also, they have a lot of like ethnic foods here that, you know, that I like Thai food and Chinese food and Indian food, and also good pizza. And actually, I was just thinking today, I really could go for a good gyro.
Really?
Yeah. Because I got one in Mexico City and it wasn't at all the same.
That makes sense. I know that when I was in Mexico, I certainly missed Chinese food. That was one of the first things that I had when we came back here to New York. I definitely got my Chinese food fix. There are Chinese food places in certain parts of Mexico, in certain places in Mexico, but they're certainly nowhere near as good, in my opinion. They're not the same types of food. The food itself is just different. Another thing that prompted me to ask you what you miss is we passed a Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah. I was thinking I could go for Dunkin' Donuts actually, yeah. Yeah, I like Dunkin' Donuts, and you know, I like those wake up wraps and you know, the iced teas I usually get. I think Mexico City does have a Dunkin' Donuts. I'm not sure I forgot how many, but I know they have it, but in like 99% of Mexico they don't have Dunkin' Donuts, so it's nice that they have to have that again. And also like the cheaper gas, you can see it's right now it says $3.89. That's for cash, and then credit card is $3.99 a gallon, whereas in Mexico it's like over $4.
Right.
It come out to the equivalent of over $4 a gallon. Yeah.
So there are some things about the United States and specifically New York that both Brittany and I do miss.
Another thing that's nice about being back in the United States is you can pump your own gas.
Right.
So.
That's true. You can pump your own gas.
Yeah.
I do miss that. It was funny how they said that in New Jersey they kind of think of it as a convenience that they don't have to, but yeah. I definitely like pumping my own gas.
I like pumping your own gas because you don't have to worry about tipping anybody, and you don't have to worry about carrying cash everywhere you go. Like in Mexico, we usually have pesos. We pay with things with pesos.
Right.
But here, you can use like credit cards. You can use American Express more, things like that.
Yeah, that's something I don't miss. Back when we lived in the United States, I hardly ever touched cash, hardly ever. But now that we were, practically living all year round in Mexico, for the most part in Mexico, I definitely know what it's like to carry around cash, use cash every single day, hardly ever use credit cards. And I've actually grown to appreciate cash, even though it is very inconvenient.
I don't like to carry all those coins around.
Right. Yeah, well, the coins, yeah.
Yeah. Because, like when you go to the store, like in Mexico, for example, like they'll have the Sallies a lot of the time, and then you give them the tip of the coin, and then people don't want to wash your windshield, and then you give them some coins. Right. And here, as you can see, it's a red light, and no one's washing anyone's windshield.
Right.
So that's pretty nice. Then you don't have to worry about that.
Right.
Honestly, there's a lot I miss about the United States that I do like.
Yeah, in case you guys haven't noticed throughout all our videos, Brittany's always the one who really gives you the good side of the United States, and I'm always kind of the one who gives you the bad side because I just like Mexico better. But there's certainly, like we said, good and bad about both. There's no question about it. They're both different. They're both very different.
Another big difference is like you don't have people like yelling that the garbage is ready or like have the bell with the garbage. It's much quieter here.
Right. Yeah, like in the mornings in Mexico, to alert you that the garbage truck's coming, they'll walk or run down the street with a cowbell. Over here, they just come at a certain designated time, and that's it.
Another nice thing about being back in the United States is when you're walking, like a lot of times in Mexico, for example, like the sidewalks are extremely uneven. And you have to be very careful where you're walking or they're very narrow, depending on which city you're in. Like Guanajuato City, or sometimes even when we were in Querétaro, the sidewalks got a little bit like narrow. Or in Morelia, they were like very like uneven. I'm not saying the sidewalks are perfect in the United States because they're definitely not perfect, and they can be, you know, they are uneven, but it's not like, I would say generally speaking, as bad as certain parts of Mexico.
Yeah.
I know we're just showing you guys, you know, New York right now, but I mean, we've traveled to other states, and you know, there's no state that has perfect sidewalks, but I would say that they're much better than a lot of parts of Mexico.
Yeah, as a whole, certainly. And that's why when we've done different videos, like our videos on Morelia that you guys can check out on the channel, or when we've done videos on Querétaro, wherever else we've done videos, we mention to you about the sidewalks because we're coming from the United States. They have large, very, very well-kept sidewalks in most areas, in most cases. There's always exceptions, but in Mexico, it's much more common to have very kind of like dilapidated sidewalks and very small sidewalks. So it's very, very different. Something else that you see a lot of here are those speed cameras. In Mexico, there's a lot less speed cameras and red light cameras. But here in the United States, there are tons of them. In fact, when we crossed the border from Mexico back into the US, all of a sudden it was like the land of speed cameras. Texas had so many. I was like, oh man, we're back, you know? But there are good things about them too. I mean, you shouldn't be speeding. So that's definitely an incentive not to speed. Currently, right now, we are in the area of Forest Hills. This is a really nice, rich area. Very, very wealthy people over here.
This is Queens, by the way.
Yeah, Queens, New York. And the area of Queens is Forest Hills. Very, very nice, quiet, peaceful, clean area. You'll notice there's hardly any parked cars on this entire strip. And the reason why is because this is a private area. So there's no gates. It's not a gated community. These areas are private streets, and so you're not allowed to park on the street here unless you have a permit. And there's a private security guard that drives around and checks to make sure that everybody who is parked has a permit. Hey look, black wires, just like Mexico.
And something that I do like about Mexico, as opposed to the United States, is like the houses. So the houses on this street actually are nice. But what I do, you'll notice when you look at the roofs of these houses, because we're in New York, it's a northern state, it gets snow, the roofs are sloped. In Mexico, something I really like, and not all houses have this in Mexico, but the ones that do, I like they're flat and you can like hang out on them. I like the houses in Mexico that have that, like the...
Right, they're flat roofs.
Yeah. I think that's nice. you could just like chill on your roof. Whereas in the United States, people don't hang out on the roof really. You might have a balcony, but you're not hanging out on the roof.
Yeah, a lot of the time, at least, you know, in these areas, the roofs, as Brittany mentioned, they're pitched roofs, and that's because of the snow and stuff like that. There are flat roofs in New York, but, you know, they're more rare.
Yeah.
A lot of buildings have flat roofs, a lot of apartment buildings.
Yeah. But like you can't hang out on them, like.
Yeah, you're not necessarily finding people hanging out on them. It might sound funny, but I like seeing in Mexico little kids driving on ATVs in the middle of the street. And I know it's dangerous, right? Because you got a little kid driving like an all-terrain vehicle illegally down the road. But I like the fact that it's more relaxed there, that people won't really bother the kid. Is it necessarily safe? No. But it's different than here. In most of New York, you're not going to really see that. You certainly might, but it's much more rare. And if the police see it, they're going to pull those people over. In Mexico, a lot of the time, they're not going to pull anybody over for that. That's just life.
I don't miss that.
I know, yeah, me and you have very different views. There's also a lot less homeless animals here in the United States in general, because in the United States, you have people who spay the animal. So, you know, they make it so that animals can't reproduce because they don't want an overabundance of animals just running around. In Mexico, they don't do that. So you have so many different types of dogs running around, even cats running around.
It's really sad sometimes because they're like mangy looking sometimes.
Well, they're street animals, so they're going to be dirty, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're like, you know, we've never seen not one of them be dangerous, be nasty.
No,
they're just living their lives, and it's very unique to see because in the United States, you really don't see that.
But I do believe that people should spay and neuter their animals because it's really sad when, you know, they need to be fed, you know. Like, you have people like, for example, the two travelers in Mexico, Paulette, she feeds the stray dogs and things like that. But if people would spay and neuter their animals, then you wouldn't be in this situation.
Yeah, well, it costs money and time, and I'm sure, you know, that's not a priority over there in Mexico. It's just a way of life.
I mean, you can do it. Some people do that.
Yeah, some do. Some do.
Yeah. These are just my personal opinions.
Yeah, these are just personal opinions and general observations. Nothing's going to be all the time one way or another way. Let us know in the comments, guys, if you like these videos, if you appreciate these videos, if you want to see more of these videos. And again, we're doing this video because we were asked to show some of where we grew up and some of New York, so that's what we're doing. Pretty soon, we should be back in Mexico and start up on that Mexico content again. Something that I definitely miss about Mexico is the ability to find a public bathroom. In many places in the cities in the United States, there are very few public bathrooms, especially in New York. So you have to go into a place, buy something, and then hope that they'll let you use the bathroom. But it's also very common that you'll go into a place, buy something, and they'll tell you, nope, sorry, we don't have a bathroom for you, even though they do, and they just want you to go use someone else's.
I notice that happens more though in New York City, not so much in other states.
Yeah, in New York City,
Yeah.
very specifically, it's really disgusting how there's so limited facilities like that. It's such a built-up area, yet they don't give you common courtesy like Mexico does. Mexico might charge you to use the bathroom, sure, but I would much rather be charged to use the bathroom a couple of cents than to have to go into a store, buy something for a couple of dollars, and then hope that they'll let you use the bathroom. Another thing that's not so common, especially in New York City, is you walking around and having people say hello to you. Or, you know, in Mexico, it's very customary when you see somebody, even if you don't know them, buenas tardes, buen día, sí, buen día, gracias, señor, and so forth. But typically people in New York are ignoring other people and minding their own business. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just the culture. But I kind of found it nice when you have strangers saying hello to strangers. It makes you feel like you're in more of a, you know, a happy space. You remember when we were walking around in Talakipaki and people from the cars were just saying hi to us?
Yeah.
As you can see here, this sign is letting you know that you're entering private streets, and like I mentioned, you can't park in these streets. You can't loiter in these streets. It's not like the typical areas that you'll find. See, that little dog's on a leash.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pug.
Yeah. I don't think we see too many pugs in Mexico, do we?
They have them, but they're not as common as here, I think. Can I get the Dunkin' Donuts while we're here?
Yeah.
Puerto Plata seafood. Wow. It sounds almost Mexican. Gotta get a bagel, that's cute. That's another thing too good about being in like New York City, for example. I mean, I'm not a big bagel person, but the bagels in New York City, I mean, you're not gonna get another bagel like,
Right.
like here.
Something that I want to point out too is, you know, the homeless people here, if you give them change,
Yeah.
they're probably going to throw it back at your face, because the homeless people in New York are asking for dollars,
Yeah.
$5, things like that. It's nice to speak English though, right?
Yeah, it is.
It's easier.
Much easier. And also it's the first language in the country, so.
Right. Even though a lot of people are speaking Spanish. Hey, how are you?
So for those of you who don't know what Dunkin' Donuts is, it's a place where you can get like Dunkin' wraps. Those look kind of new. I don't remember that being last time. They also have donuts, of course. They have hash browns. They have iced lemon loaf. You get omelet bites. Turkey sausage, egg and cheese, things like that.
Did we see any Dunkin' Donuts at all in Mexico?
No, they only have, I think, I could be wrong, guys, but I think they're in Mexico City.
Okay.
But it's not even like that many. I'm using an American Express card.
That's nice. Yeah, in Mexico, a lot of the time they're asking for MasterCards.
Yeah. We're YouTubers.
Oh yeah, YouTube, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, chasing the American dream. Yeah.
Yeah. We're coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah?
We do videos on Mexico. And so now that we're back here, we're doing some videos here because the people on the channel want to see New York.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, yeah. It's okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hope you like the channel.
Oh, yeah, but both of us. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry? Together one channel, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks. All right, now to the train station.
Something you may have noticed that's very different being in the United States, even in New York City, is, okay, you have a pharmacy over there, but in Mexico a lot of the time you have pharmacy to pharmacy to pharmacy to pharmacy to pharmacy.
It's true.
Here it's like you have to go search for a pharmacy.
Right. In Mexico, you got tons of banks and tons of pharmacies. And over here, you have a lot less. I mean, not one after another most of the time. I mean, that's more rare. Well, you could see 6 pharmacies on a block in Mexico. All right, we're at the train.
Okay.
Here it comes.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Something that I like about the subway in New York City, opposed to Mexico City, is that it's not as hot. I don't know if it's because it's colder outside, but it feels like there's like some sort of air coming in.
Yeah, there's air coming in.
There is.
Yeah.
Is it? Remember in Mexico City it was so hot I got off the train?
That was an older train.
Oh.
Sion just said there were newer trains too.
Oh.
So it's possible that some of the trains in Mexico City did have air conditioning.
Have you ever taken the subway in Mexico City? Please let us know. Do a lot of the trains have air conditioning? Leave a comment.
All right, so where are we going?
This way.
Wow, I didn't know that was you, man. That's amazing.
Thank you.
That guy sounded like a bird.
Oh, wow. So we got out of the subway and we are in Bryant Park. There's something about Bryant Park that I just love. I don't know. It's just a nice place to be, I guess.
I think a lot of people feel the same way.
Yeah, I like it. It's one of my favorite places, I think, in Manhattan. We got a nice Whole Foods over there. And I remember from last time, I think they let you use the bathroom for free.
That's
Just go
nice.
in.
Yeah. Let's go.
So maybe you're watching this channel and you enjoy watching our Mexican videos, but I know that there's quite a few of you from other countries, and maybe even from the United States that maybe you watch from all over. Maybe you've never been to New York City, so hopefully this will give you guys an idea of some things that you can check out and see and do. Look at the pretty flowers. Look how pretty they are. Wow, so nice. So for those of you who may not know where Bryant Park is located, it's not too far from Times Square. And also, it's a few blocks from the Empire State Building. So we're in a great location. I recommend that if you're planning on a trip to Manhattan, check out Bryant Park, check out the Empire State Building. They're great places. Another place that we really like is the High Line. It's also a great place to check out. I love the architecture. Look at that building up there. Wow, that's incredible. Look at that. Little dogs. Lenny, come on. Oh, no thanks.
Oh,
No, I'm okay.
No, gracias.
Yeah.
Buen día.
No, gracias.
Speaking Spanish works even in America. Well, that's what they do in Mexico.
I know.
This is the guy that ripped Britney off one time on a gyro.
Yeah. Look
All
at
right.
the building though. Look how cool it is. It goes up like that.
That's one of the great things about paying for something with your credit card, because that guy ripped Britney off on a gyro. He didn't give her what she wanted, and he overcharged her because we used a credit card, and he didn't show us the screen as to how much he was charging. So we immediately knew what was going on, and we called the credit card company, and they canceled the charge.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.